Oh, God. I'm a little fired up. I just had an altercation with a gentleman in a Dunkin' Donuts because he thought it was cool to harass the women in there because they didn't get to him fast enough. Even though the fucking drive-thru line is really long and, I don't know, there's like 5 cars in the parking lot, including me. So they're doing their fucking best. There are 2 people in there. Special place in hell for people like that. Special place in hell. So I couldn't help it. I had to say something to him because if you work in retail, you fucking know that there's a time and a place. And if you're a dark enough human being to take out your bad day on someone who's literally just trying to get through the day, fucking bye, leave. But anyway. God. Between that, my foundation doesn't match, it's fucking raining. We're off to a really good start, in my opinion. No, it's not a bad day. I'm all fired up because I wanted to make this video for so long, and I don't know how to do it other than to just like let it all out and just talk, vlog instead of making a proper video. Like I will in the future. Like I know I will, because this topic is important to me and I'm passionate about it. Kind of the long and short of it is that I wish more people talked about this, because one of my biggest insecurities about my body dysmorphia and everything that I think and everything that I see and everything I deal with and the past, everything I went through last year with my body. There's this stigma that only teenagers suffer from eating disorders. There's this stigma that only transgendered individuals experience body dysmorphia, or, your body dysmorphia is triggered by whatever job you have, like models, or basically nobody talks about it. And if they do, they'll talk about the eating disorder, they'll talk about the eating disorders and not the actual body dysmorphia part. And obviously I don't have a problem with that, because I want, especially transgender individuals, I want there to be more discussion. I want there to be more education, I guess. I want the issue to be more personal, because that's just a whole different level of stress and confusion and heartbreak. And I'm not, like I said, I don't have a problem. I just want the topic to be more open. I'm doing a really shitty job of saying that. I want the topic to be more open, because I feel like if I had more of a network, I could have maybe talked my way through it a little better last year. And that's not me shitting on my friends, because, my friends, it's not like they were quiet. They said, oh, you're not healthy, you need to change your eating habits, or you're getting really thin, you need to pay attention to that. My friends were aware, and they didn't say nothing, which I appreciate. It's so hard to discuss a mental illness respectfully, I guess, because everything that I say, or everything I'm going to say, is from my point of view. And obviously not everybody who experiences body dysmorphia or anorexia, they're not gonna have the exact same mental state. They're not gonna have the same experience as I did. It's so confusing, because it's such a personal issue. And that's probably why a lot of people don't talk about it. And again, I respect that. That's fine. It's not anyone's fault. But I want to talk about it, because I wish that I had in the past. I wish I was more open to other people. I wish I was more open to myself. I wish I was a lot smarter about it. But at the same time, I'm not stupid. Like, I know it's not my fault. Like, there was some kind of chemical imbalance that technically I still have. It's just not the same. Yeah. And, like, part of my brain just shut down, and I wasn't hungry. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want food. I was repulsed by it. I was physically, you know, it took so much to eat things, and whether it was my best friend being like, nope, sorry, you're in my house, you have to eat, like, you know, it starts with something so small. You know, you wake up one morning and, because the biggest part of it is that you don't see it. You don't realize that you're doing it. You're not aware, because there's some disassociation that happens where, you know, you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I'm bloated, I'm fat, I'm whatever. Like, I still do. Every single morning, I still do. Like, it's still there. I don't see what my significant other sees. I don't see what my friends see. I don't know how. It's not a thing I can do yet. But sorry, I need this so bad. There's a disassociation between your mind and your body, pretty much, because, you know, every morning I would wake up and just be like, oh, fucking whatever, like, this is my body, can't do anything about it, like, I'm fat. You know, cut to like 4 months later, and I'm basically a size small from a size large. Like, I didn't see it, and then all of a sudden my pants were too baggy, you know, this tiny pair of sexy shorts were baggy. Like, it wasn't a huge drastic, like, it didn't get to the point where I was the poster child skeletal figure that like, when someone says the word anorexia, that's what you picture. You picture the sickly, skeletal, you know, doe-eyed girl in the hospital. Like, it's not, there's this particular poster child image that anorexia has that I fucking hate, because that's not how everything goes for everybody. It's not everyone's sob story. Like, that's not, you know, not everybody gets to that point. Not everybody gets to recover. And I say that bitterly because people don't care until it gets to that point. Or people don't address the issue until it gets to, you know, 17-year-old Susie weighs 70 pounds, whatever it is, and, you know, it's part of that stigma that I have a real venomous bitterness for, because that's not everyone I've talked to. That's not, because I've talked to people on Tumblr, especially. There are a lot of anorexia blogs, and that sounds bad because it's like, oh, you know, people follow them to get inspiration, or there are a couple of those that are like that, but the majority of them are not. It's like, you know, hey, this is a blog for people with anorexia, like, let's all talk to each other. Like, it's really nice. And unfortunately, I have unfollowed them only because the images do get to me. I'm not gonna fucking lie, they do. Like, when I see the pictures, it does. I don't like using the word trigger because it's misused constantly, but it does kind of incite this, like, uncomfortable feeling. And that's not their fault. It's just I just don't want to see it right now in the state of mind that I'm in currently, in my recovery. I use that lightly, and I'll talk about that later. But yeah, it's between, like, the poster child image, the fact that, like, nobody wants to talk about it, or, like, people who don't know that they do, if that makes sense. Like, I have this very strange feeling that the number of people who suffer with some form of body dysmorphia, it doesn't have to be a full-blown eating disorder, it just has to be the dysmorphia part, it's so like, it has to be so much higher. It has to be. You can't fucking sit there and tell me that it's this tiny, you know, population of teenage, like, no, like, there are so many people. It's just nobody, I feel like nobody talks about it because it's not important compared to other issues, which I guess, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's the most important thing. No, like, I just feel like it's part of the whole, nobody wants to talk about mental illness unless it's certain kinds. Let's put it that way. You know, I can guarantee you I can find help for my depression so much fucking faster than I'll ever find help for my body dysmorphia. Like, that's just kind of how it is. And that could be because there's only so much one can do outside of, like, therapy or something. You know, I don't necessarily think there's a medication. But it's also because they are often tied into each other. You know, depression and body dysmorphia. Like, they do go together. They're hand in hand. They're buddies. I'm sorry this is so rambly. I didn't take any notes on it. I wanted this to be kind of, like, raw and just chit-chatty. Like, I'm talking about this like I would be talking to my best friend. Let's put it that way. Like, I just feel like this is the only way I can talk about it. Because if I sit here with a little notepad and statistics and notes and whatever, it's like, it would come off too lecture-y. Because that's not what this is. This isn't, like, lecturing anyone. This is literally just me talking about it. Because I've held it in for so long. Because I just didn't think it was important. I didn't think I was like, you know? I didn't think it was important because that's just the general consensus I got from everything else. Like, nobody cares. But that's not true. And now that I'm in a healthier frame of mind, like, I know that's not true. Like, of course people care. I'm not alone. I'm not the only one who feels like they feel about their body. Like, I'm not the only one. And I know that. You know, so this is literally just a rambly vlog for anybody interested. But anyway, whatever. Sort of going off the deep end here. I'm in a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot. It's fucking raining. 12 minutes. Nailed it. Anyway. So the biggest thing is that if I can give any advice to anybody, because I have younger siblings, I have younger cousins. See, there I go with the stigma, like, only young people are no, like, even my mom, God bless her, I love her so much. Like, to everybody, boys, girls, men, women, other configurations of being, everybody, like, just be self-aware. Pay attention to how you think about yourself. Pay attention to how bitter the self-hatred is, you know? I don't know if bitter is the word I want to use. Just, it's so important to pay attention to your thought process and, like, pay attention to how your body changes over time. Because, like I said, I didn't fucking see it. I didn't see it until it was, like, months later, and like I said, like, my clothes weren't fitting, and I was getting compliments, like, oh, you're so thin, or I was getting not compliments, I was being, not reprimanded, but like I said, my best friend was like, hey, fucking, you better eat when you're in my house, like, you know, she tried to be on top of it, God bless her, because I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that being told, oh, you look so skinny, like, that feels really good. And, you know, like I said, earlier I said recover, I keep saying recovery with quotations, because even though my body has changed, and, you know, I do have an appetite, like, it's unfortunate, see, there you go, I'm not completely okay. Like, I actually had a total, like, I wanted to film this yesterday, but I had not an episode, but, like, I did. I cry over my body sometimes because I'm not I don't have the body that I had last year when I was sick. What do you even call that frame of time when you're not eating? I'll just say sick. I don't like saying it, but I'll just fucking say it, whatever. When I was sick and really thin, like, I felt, I wasn't healthy, I wasn't okay, but I looked good. And I find myself constantly missing it. Even though I'm not, like, I weigh like 142 pounds right now. And that's a big deal, me saying that number out loud. And later on, I might cringe re-watching this or like uploading it or whatever. Like, I weigh 142 pounds. So I gained back 15 plus-ish pounds from when I was sick. So the number itself isn't that big, but when I look in the mirror and I reference to like old pictures or whatever, I'm just like, oh my God, like, I'm so big. And that's not fair because I'm not. And like, I'm sitting here talking to you, being very logical about it. But if I tried to have this conversation yesterday, I wouldn't have been able to say the number out loud. I would have burst into fucking tears talking about being skinny. Like, it's a day-to-day shift. Sometimes I'm okay, sometimes I'm not. And that's why I said recovery, because mentally I'm not all the way there. Like, my body's different now, and I eat, and I love food sometimes. Like, there might be a day where I'm just like, fuck that shit. Like, I'm eating like a protein bar and fuck off. But that doesn't last because I get hungry and, whatever. But I'm still trying to figure out a healthy balance. I can't wake up and choose how I'm going to feel about food one day. I didn't wake up this morning and be like, it's been a what? I just burped. I didn't wake up this morning and be like, oh man, I don't feel like eating today. It doesn't work that way. For me. I should probably clarify that. It doesn't work that way for me. Maybe for some people, but I can't speak from other perspectives. I can only speak from my own. I'll wake up and, go about my day, and it's like, hey, I'm hungry, let me have a bowl of cereal, or hey, I'm hungry, let me have a little fucking microwave pizza, whatever's in the freezer, chicken nuggets, dinosaur chicken nuggets, who gives a shit? Like, I can't consciously control how I'm gonna feel that day. And I think that's a huge misconception, I think, not for just eating disorders in general, but just like you don't wake up being like, I'm gonna be sad today. It's like, no, depression hits you like a goddamn truck, and there's nothing you can do about it as much as you want to. As much as you want to forcibly change your frame of mind, it's not. Maybe for some people they can, but I definitely can't, and I really wish I could. Because obviously I would be so different if I could have done that by now. I'm not saying that one day I won't be able to correct myself, because who knows? It's part of growing and processing and figuring out how to live with whatever you got going on up here. It's just growth. But I'm not there yet. And maybe that's part of why I wanted to have this chat so badly, was because I want to be able, in the future, I want to be able to look back and be like, yeah, I remember that, I see that, but I'm different now. Because that's all I want, I don't want to be this way. I don't want my weight to constantly fluctuate. I don't want to have a panic attack over a couple calories. I don't want to have a nervous breakdown every time I weigh myself. Like, that's not who I want to be. That's not what I want for my body and for myself. It's not a good example I'm setting for my family. Like, even if I don't change for myself, I don't want my sisters to see me and be like, oh, you know, me too. You know? Like, I don't want my younger sisters to see me not doing anything about it. I don't want them to see me not helping myself or getting help. I don't want them to think... See, this is tricky because I want for my siblings what I want for everyone. Like, I want you to be fully accepting and aware of how you think and how your body works. Like, you need to pay attention to it and learn about it and be educated about your own body. Because taking care of yourself should be normal. I don't care what's wrong. I don't like saying that, but I don't care what's wrong. Taking care of yourself is always the normal. I don't care if you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I'm not normal, or being sad like this isn't normal, because technically it's not, but it's your normal. And I wish there was a different word other than normal, because I don't like that, because there's no default setting. No one's perfectly healthy. Nobody's perfectly mentally sound. Like, that doesn't exist. So I don't like saying normal. But I feel like I have to, for example. Because I don't want them to grow up talking to themselves the way I did. I don't want any of you to talk to yourselves the way I do. You know, oh, I'm not normal, this isn't normal, you know, what's wrong with me, what's wrong with me, what's wrong? Because when you hyper-focus on what's wrong with me, you're not addressing the issue, you're not taking care of yourself, you're just making yourself feel guilty for being you. Whether it's a condition you can control or not. You know, that's, I think, one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever heard was, I was part of a conversation, and throughout it, they're just, you know, from point A to point B, just talking about different things like depression, whatever. And the person said something along the lines of, eating disorders shouldn't be taken seriously because you're doing it to yourself. It's a form of self-harm that's like basically they had no respect for it, because it wasn't, that sounds so weird, like it wasn't like it's not a traditional self-harm, and you're doing it to yourself, so, you know, I don't feel bad for you, it's your own fault, whatever. They weren't saying it to me, they were saying it like about the subject, like, I don't feel bad for people with eating disorders because it's self-inflicted, and, you know, you can get help, you just don't want to, and it's, like I said, it's that stigma that, like, only teenage girls go through it, and, like, and it was so fucking weird hearing that, because I've never heard it addressed so, like, passive-aggressively and, like, grotesquely. Like, oh, because I'm not slicing my fucking wrist, like, I shouldn't get help because what I'm going through isn't valid. And, like, I apologize if that's insensitive or dark, but, like, that's essentially what they were saying, because they use the term self-harm. And it was just such a fucking light bulb click, because it was exactly what I was worried about. You know, like, oh, like, everyone's ashamed of me, or, you know, my friends are ashamed of me because I'm not eating, and, you know, I'm ashamed of myself, but, like, oh, I'm so skinny. Like, you know what I mean? You're constantly at war with yourself, because you can't see what other people see, and you're constantly worried about it, and you don't want to make anybody upset, and you don't want to worry anybody, because it's a battle that you're having with yourself. So, like, in your mind, it's a private battle, like, oh, whatever, but to everybody else, it's like, they can see you getting thinner, they can see you, you know, doing whatever, and it's weird, because it's such a private battle that's, you know, but it shows in your body. So it just makes you more self-conscious than, you know, if you did gain weight or if you lost weight. It's like, you know, it's a noticeable thing, and I think that's part of why it's so, I don't know, it's just, I feel like compared to depression, compared to like more emotional disorders, I feel like body dysmorphia and eating disorders, I feel like those are so much more difficult to keep personal. Because if you're depressed, it's like you can blame it on other things. You know, there are ways to deter it. I'm not saying do that. I'm saying, like, you know, from experience, it's like there you can try to throw people off the trail. It's a little easier because it's a frame of mind. It's not it doesn't necessarily physically manifest itself all the time. Sometimes. But body dysmorphia and eating disorders, it's like people see that. People see it. You know, your body constantly changes. Like, it's not a secret if you're physically changing. Oh my god. Sorry. It's cold, kind of. And I'm a dumbass that's not wearing a jacket. I was like, okay, it's nice out. As it rains. Good job, Kate. Thanks, Kate. Yeah. But I don't know, even if it takes a long time for me to change and be healthier, you know, I do want to get there. I would rather go running, you know, beach running at like 5 a.m. and eat nothing but salads and chicken. Like, I want to get to that point where it's like, I want to turn my self-hatred into a sort of fuck you energy kind of a thing. I don't know if that sounds so funny, but it's true. Like, I want to be able to turn it into constructive energy and constructive action. Like, I really do. Because just sitting around mentally torturing yourself and denying your body necessary things like food and water and sleep and whatever. I don't know, like, I want that to be in the past. I want it to be done. I want it to be over with. I want to move forward. You know, it's frustrating because I can't change overnight. You know, I'm not going to wake up tomorrow morning, look in the mirror and be like, damn girl, like, look at you go. You know, and it's funny because if you look at my Instagram and like my Snapchat or whatever, like, you might think I'm very narcissistic because I do post a lot of selfies and like, whatever. But it's so short-lived, that little bit of confidence that I get. It is so short-lived. Like, I put on makeup today and I was really proud of myself and I'm like, oh, it looks so pretty. But like, looking in the camera right now, like, all I see is how round my face is. All I see is how, like, you know, I think I have a double chin and I can't not see it. I don't know how to not see it. It's there, and it's honestly driving me insane now that I've like pointed it out, because now I'm like focused on my face, but it's like, no, it's just part of it. I can't, unfortunately, that's just how my brain works, you know. But I want to be able to wake up tomorrow and not see that. I want to be able to wake up and, you know, not hyper focus on like how I think I look and like, oh, I have to wear my boyfriend's clothes. I have to buy men's clothes. I cannot tell you how much of my wardrobe is, you know, men's clothing right now. It's mainly just like band t-shirts and shit, but like such a small percentage of my wardrobe is like actual women's clothing. Like, I just buy men's clothing because it's baggy and it's comfortable and I can hide more. And just like, like, why? I almost said, why am I like this? It's like, I know why I'm like this. That's what we're talking about. But, you know, I do want to get to a point where I'm not this anymore. I really do. But it's not an overnight change. So, I guess, like I said, I didn't talk about it for so long. Like, I just hit the 30-minute mark on this little fucking vlog, and I don't even know if I'm done. And I'm sorry if this is rambly and fucking insufferable, but when I tell you I held this in for so long, like, I just didn't talk to anybody about it because I was so afraid of not being taken seriously. Or, I guess, just people be disappointed in me and mad at me. Because, like I said, there is that stigma, like, you're not a teenage girl anymore, like, get your shit together, or, you know, what are you talking about, like, you look fine, and, you know, your body's different than my body, and my body's different than your body, and, like, what are you trying to say, like, you know, you think you're fat, what am I, like, that one hits me so fucking hard, because, not to be, like, this isn't a call out, this is a genuine, like, honesty thing. Like, my best friend says that to me sometimes. She'll be like, oh, you know, like, you think you're fat, what are you trying to say about me? And, like, I know what she's trying to say, and I know that she's trying to, like, get my, she's trying to get me to, like, see better, like, see what she sees a little bit better, like, hey, like, it's all in your head, like, it's fine. But the way she words it, it just, like, it hurts so much, because it's like, no, like, this is me hating my body. I don't hate other people's bodies. Like, I love, you know, like, I think a misconception about eating disorders is that if you have one, you hate all, like, you hate certain kinds of body types. And that's not true at all. Like, the only body that I hate is my own. I cannot tell you how many people I think are beautiful and amazing, and, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't talk shit about other body types. I don't hate other body types. I don't have a certain stigma. Like, I don't think that, like, skinny people are pretty. Like, I legitimately don't. Like, the only body that I constantly criticize and hate is my own. And I think that's a huge, like I said, it's a huge misconception, because it's like, oh, like, you have eating disorders, so, like, you hate fat people, or, like, whatever. Because I've seen that too. And I've seen girls with anorexia shit on other body types, because it's like, oh, well, you know, part of the disorder is that, like, oh, skinnier, you know, skinny bodies are superior for whatever reason. Like, I don't know. I really don't know why. But I can't begin to explain that I've never thought that way. You know, I've never criticized somebody else's body. Like, I can't. I don't know how, because the only body I hyper focus on is my own. You know, if anything, it's like, I would kill for other people's confidence in their body. That's what it is. You know, if there's one thing for me to hyper focus on, it's never going to be someone's weight. It's never going to be their body shape. It's never going to be their eating habit. That's never been a thing for me. You know, I mean, the only thing I'm envious of is their confidence, because that's what I want for myself. So when I criticize my own body and I hate on my own body, it's like, that has nothing to do with anyone else's body but my own. You know, me sitting there crying because I feel fat and bloated and disgusting and I hate myself. Like, that's not me saying that fat is disgusting. That fat is, no. Like, it's all it's self-pointed, it's self-inflicted. Like, it's me yelling at myself. You know, I don't body shame people, because I know how fucking painful it is to do it to yourself. So, like, sorry. That's such a big one, because I've never had the balls to say it to her. Sorry, best friend, you know who you are. But, you know, like, all I want to do is, like, raise other people up. Like, no, you look amazing, you look handsome, you look beautiful, you're fucking banging it, like, you look amazing. Like, I just want to lift other people up, because I don't know how to lift myself up. You know, like, I'm the first person to tear myself down, but I will be the first person to tell you that you look amazing. Because, one, I genuinely believe it. And two, I know I have this little fucking gremlin voice in my head telling me everything that's wrong with me and pointing out every little thing that may not even be there. That's a huge part of it, is that, like, I'll never see what other people see. You know, my significant other will sit there and be like, you haven't gained weight. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you're fine. But in my head, I'm fucking screaming because I gained like 1 pound because the scale told me so. And, you know, oh, my eating habits are bad. Like, I have to be fat. Like, I feel fat, so I have to be. Like, it's so fucked because half the things that, you know, half the time I want to rip my skin off, and it might not even be there. It might not even be there. It might not even be a change that's actually physically there, but I see it there. And that's it's so weird because I've never said that out loud, so, you know, I'm rambly and I'm sorry, but that's a big thing. That's such a big thing that I feel like people don't understand. You know, I mentioned earlier that, like, I didn't see myself getting thinner until it was too late. Because I saw things that weren't there. I see things that aren't there. Or they might be there and I just don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I could tell you I have a fucking breakout going on. That's there. But whether I actually have a gut or not, like, I don't know. I don't know. And I feel like my legs are getting bigger. Like, I feel like I have huge thighs and I'm so self-conscious about them. You know, and then someone will be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so, it's such a battle because you know, you're crying over something that might not be real. Like, think about that. Like, that's such a fuck. I don't know. The biggest thing to take away from it, I'll fucking wrap it up because whatever. I should. 37 minutes in, you rambly cunt. The biggest thing to take away, I guess, and the most important thing I think I've said, is that you need to pay attention to how you feel. You need to pay attention to what your body's doing. You need to pay attention to what your brain is doing. You need to be critical of your own thinking. You need to be very aware of the way you talk to yourself. You need to be, yeah, I guess critical is the best way to put it. Like, you need to be careful. Because things can get out of hand so fucking quickly. And you don't always necessarily realize it. You know, and I'm not trying to scare you, I'm just saying that's exactly what happened to me, or it still happens to me. It's like I'm not necessarily fully aware of it because of just the way my brain works, I guess, or just the way my thought process is. It's like you know, you're constantly fighting with an invisible demon that has physical consequences, if that makes sense. So it's important to focus on your health, mental and physical. And I'm not saying be paranoid about every little thing, but a necessary part of taking care of yourself is being aware of yourself. And just want more for yourself, want better for yourself, whether you're going through something or you're not. You could be feeling great, doing your own thing, but you know what? Just take care of yourself, no matter what frame of mind you're in. You know, it doesn't matter. Don't let other people tell you what's right for you. And if you do experience what I do, we should totally talk about it. We should totally have a conversation. Or if you have questions, we should have a conversation. Like I said, my biggest fucking regret about last year and in general was that I never talked to anybody about it. It was just sort of like, oh, you're getting thinner. Oh, thanks. Drop the subject. Oh, you're not eating. Yeah, fine. Sorry, I don't feel like it. Or like, I don't want food. Sorry. Like, I never talked about it in depth. I never You know what I mean? Even when my best friend was sitting there like, girl, put some food in your mouth, I didn't want to talk about it. I felt guilty. I didn't want to talk about it because I felt guilty. I still feel guilty. I feel like fucking garbage for a lot of reasons. But, you know, I want more for myself, and you should too. So, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. And I'm going to end this because it's cold, and I'm going to go home. And I don't know, whatever. But I wish you nothing but health and happiness, and I hope you have a good day. Or night, whenever. Yeah. Thanks for listening to my rambly bullshit. See you later.